Hi everyone, my name is Alda Cahyaningtyas, and this is my submission for the Module 6 discussion, which is the T and B cell deficiencies. B and T cells are important part of the adaptive immune system. The primary function of B cells is to produce antibodies that are specific for the antigen that's being presented. Once antibodies bind with the specific antigen, they can function or perform in several ways. The ways that they can function is through the activation of complement and inflammation, opsonization, neutralization, agglutination, and also antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity. When B cells are activated by the entry of pathogen or antigen into the body, the B cells can differentiate themselves into plasma cells. Plasma cells have the ability to secrete a large amount of immunoglobulin, or essentially secrete a large amount of antibodies to be available to fight the antigen. The activated plasma cells are also responsible for the generation of the memory B cells, which are supposed to give the body long-term immunity against that specific antigen. Another critical component of the adaptive immune system is the presence of T cells. T cells are responsible in the cell-mediated immunity, and they do this by acting against the body cells that are essentially hosting intracellular pathogens. And what I mean by hosting intracellular pathogens is that these intracellular pathogens rely on the body cells to survive and also to reproduce. The first one is helper T cells or TH cells. TH cells have the ability to activate and regulate other immune cells such as B cells and TC cells or cytotoxic T cells, which we're going to be talking about next. Activated TC cells or activated cytotoxic T cells have the ability to produce interleukin 2 or IL-2. And with the presence of IL-2, this will trigger the TC cells to undergo cell division to have daughter TC cells. And with the presence of the daughter TC cells, they will also produce their own interleukin 2. And with this increasing amount of interleukin 2, essentially there's gonna be a domino effect, which will make the TC cells self-stimulating. And now they're able to attack the infected cells or the cancerous cells. And aside from producing interleukin 2, the activated TC cells are also able to produce memory T cells, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later in the video. Since we know that the T cells are responsible to attack the infected body cells, it is also important for the body to have another layer of extra protection from autoimmune diseases. And this is provided by the presence of TR cells or regulatory T cells. We're not going to be going in depth into how it works, but essentially the TR cells are able to regulate the cytotoxic T cells. We have previously talked about how memory T cells can be produced from the activated TC cells. Essentially, activated TC cells have had communications with the infected cells through the major histocompatibility complex. The antigen being presented that way activates the TC cells, eventually leading to the production of the memory T cells. And because there is a lot of memory T cells present, eventually they're going to be essentially stored in the lymphoid tissues for months or even years to come. This is a big role for memory T cells because they're responsible for the memory response in the future. Because this is a memory response, it's going to be more enhanced and faster compared to the first infection that had happened in the past. So the next time there's an infection, the body is able to fight off the infected cells more quicker and more efficient. Deficiency in either B or T cells or even both will result in immunodeficiency diseases. And there are two types of immunodeficiency diseases. However, we're going to be talking about the primary immunodeficiency diseases. Primary immunodeficiency diseases are diseases that are able to be detected near birth. They are either genetic related or it's a result of developmental defect. We have developed an understanding that B cells produce antibodies or immunoglobulins. And if the body is lacking B cells or lacking the production of antibodies or immunoglobulins, this will make the body have difficulties in identifying and also finding ways to eliminate these pathogens coming into the body. And the reason why the deficiency in B cells or the lack of B cells altogether makes an individual more vulnerable to bacterial infection is because plenty immunoglobulins have specific methods to deal with bacterial pathogens. For example, like clumping, that's done by the IgM or immunoglobulin M. Without the presence of this immunoglobulin, obviously, now the bacteria has more chance of surviving in the body and colonizing the body. One example of B cells deficiency is X-linked agameglobulinemia, or XLA. XLA is where the B cells don't really have the ability to mature, and because of that there is a reduced production of antibodies. Another form of deficiency is T cell deficiency. When this happens, the body experiences a compromised cellular immunity, and essentially the body has troubles in identifying infected cells due to the lack of T cells present in the body. So for example, if a person is lacking T cells or have a deficiency in T cells, that person's body is not able to identify or recognize body cells that are virally infected or cancerous. Because we have previously established an understanding that viruses rely on host cells to survive and to reproduce. So as time goes by, if these infected cells or cancer cells remain unidentifiable, they will continue to grow and they will continue to infect the body, which pose a danger to the individual. One example of that case would be the infection of HIV or human immunodeficiency virus infection. In this case, there is a significant reduction in the amount of helper T cells present in the body. And we have previously established an understanding that TH cells are responsible for that butterfly effect that's making other cells or other T cells fight the infected body cells or cancerous cells. So without adequate amount of TH cells, the body is now in a lot of risk of other viral infections.